Salute to you all. The brave never fall. We're going to talk about forward momentum and capitalizing on things that you do every single day that contribute to momentum, whether you are aware of it or not. There are certain things throughout each day. If you're conscious of it and you're aware of it and you're actually looking for these things, they all contribute to forward momentum. It's always about breaking everything down to its smallest components. At least for me, it is. And it's one of the things I try to teach with the Brave Never Fall, and I try to instill upon people, is that everything is made up of something. There's nothing that is just made up entirely of nothing. That's what we call matter. Your body is a complex machine. It is one of the most unique things on the planet, is the human body, mainly because of our minds and how complex just the mind alone minus your body. If your body was completely absent from the mind, your mind alone is its own metropolis. It's its own inner working city. It is something that is functioning on its own without you having a clue on how it's working. When you think about things like that, it puts you in perspective, not only with your own body and mind, but with the rest of the world, because everybody, all the billions of people who are living on this planet and all the trillions of organisms that are on this planet, we're all functioning at a certain level and we're all connected, but yet we're all free, which is why I always say with the Brave Never Fall, one of the things we say is through freedom and connection, the brave never fall. Through freedom and connection. You are free as an individual to explore everything about you. And I always tell people, why don't you explore yourself enough? And immediately people will go to feelings, because that's the obvious, normal, average thing to do with people. We always are aware of our feelings more than we are of our thoughts. Our feelings can overcome us. They can add perspective on every situation we have and give it clarity, good or bad. If you're afraid of something, your feelings are going to make that very intense. It's like jalapenos. You put jalapenos in any type of food, it's going to intensify that food. Some people love it. I happen to love jalapenos because I feel like wherever I put a jalapeno on, it's going to make that food better. It just ignites my taste buds and it just makes whatever I'm eating that much better. Some people can't stand the taste of the jalapeno. It's too hot and intense for them. Again, we're all free to do as we please and interpret life on our own terms. When we are in this world, we are trying to figure out what to do in each moment. Most people are doing that without even thinking. Even if you're sitting there mindless in thought, you are still making a decision to get that way. And even if you're sitting there mindless in thought, you may not have made the decision to get that way, but you made a decision to do something as sit down, unless you were forced to sit down by some external force. Now, you see what I'm getting at. Everything has momentum. Everything has a reason why it's happening. Nothing is happening to you at this moment that didn't make you get to this moment. You had to press play to listen to this podcast. You had to want to listen to this podcast. You had to want to wake up this morning. You had to want to go to bed at night, the night before this morning. If this, well, for me, it's morning, but for you, it could be any time of day. It doesn't matter what time of day it is. That's the point here. Every single moment, something is influencing it. And a lot of times, most of the time, the influence has nothing to do with your conscious effort to make a change in that moment. It's just happening and you're reacting all the time. You're reacting all the time. You have no control over the weather, so you're reacting to that every single second. It doesn't matter what weather it is outside. You're reacting to it. How you dress is a reaction to what's going on outside. When you get in your car to drive to any location, you always look and say how much gas you have. You have to react to how much gas is in that tank. Your decisions are affected at that moment with how much gas is in a tank. So everything, when you think about it, those are just broad things, but let's just take them more personal. When you get up and you eat the wrong thing in the morning, you didn't make the wisest choice with your breakfast choice. That will have a forward momentum of that day, throughout that day, that will affect you. You started your day off with a negative outcome. You started your day off with a negative outcome. You created a scenario where the outcome of it was negative. Now, sometimes, again, we don't have control over the outcomes. You can eat the most healthiest thing in the world, and you just may have a stomach bug and you don't feel very good. That's not your fault. You're reacting to what you're given. We're talking about choices that you are actively making where you hold yourself accountable. Those are separate categories, and you have to distinguish those. I think too many people in this world that I talk to, and I can only speak for the people that I've talked to, and I've talked to hundreds and hundreds of people about this sort of thing. It's one of the things I love to do. I love to talk to random people about things like this. Every single time I have an opportunity to talk to people, usually they'll bring it up, but I like to ask questions like, how do you feel? That's a question a lot of people don't get asked by people they don't know. How do you feel today? You feeling okay today? I've never had a person not answer that question. I usually get eyes wide open and then more than willing to share how they feel, because no one ever asks someone that you don't really know that well, how are you feeling today? Everyone is always high and by, especially if you're in a workplace or your family members or in friends, things like that. I always treat everyone as if they're not just an acquaintance. We're all connected in this world. So you have a deep connection with people you don't even know regardless. You are going through similar things. There are going to always be things that both of you are going to be able to talk about, mainly because you're both human beings with minds and beating hearts. You're both drawing breaths in each moment together. You're both sucking in the same oxygen. It doesn't matter what part of the country you came from or what language you're speaking. You're connected. And I often would ask people, how do you feel? Do you think most of, if they're talking about they're having bad luck, do you think most of it is coming from external things or internal? And they will say, well, I have these issues, and I ask, have you made any adjustments? What would put you towards the positive path in your journey? Even if they don't know they're on a path, I always say, what will put you on the positive path? Because if you're feeling that unbalance, you probably are off the path just a little bit. You may not be off all that much, but any adjustments that can be made to keep you firmly in the center of that path, you should make them. And a lot of times people will mention things that are self-inflicted without even realizing they're self-inflicted. And a lot of those things come in the form of excuses. And we all make them. I'm guilty of it as well. We are human beings. We make excuses a whole lot about a lot of things that are really, when you think about it, very important, but seem insignificant in the moment. When you choose to eat something that you know you shouldn't eat, and you have no plan on adjusting that in the future or making that to a point where it's not even an option, that may seem like a harmless little thing to do in the moment. But when you look at it in the long scope of things, you're actually setting yourself back. Unless you're conscious of it. There's nothing wrong with saying, okay, I'm going to have a pizza today. I do it all the time. But I also know I'm going to make up for it at some point, or I'm not going to do it that often, or I'm not going to do it at all. There are certain things I just refuse to eat because I know how my body is going to respond. I know mentally how I'm going to respond to having eaten something I know I shouldn't have on a consistent basis. Anybody can sit down and have a cheat meal. We're not talking about that. We're talking about decisions that start turning into routine based on excuses. I can eat this now because I plan on going on a diet next month. Do you see how that is not a good option for you in that moment? If you're planning on doing something and you haven't done it yet and you have no set plan, that's an excuse for you to get what you want in the moment. You're being impatient. You want what you want right now, and you're not thinking long term. You're wishing long term. You're hoping that you stay true to your own word about going on that diet next month and justifying that beautiful, beautiful pizza you have in front of you and taking the biggest bite, and one bite turns into one slice, turns into 4 slices, turns into the whole pizza along with fries and a soda. The next thing you know, you did that one day. You have leftovers. You eat it the next day. Now it's 2 days. Mentally, you're starting to go down a rabbit hole. And you can apply this to anything. It can be anything that you know for yourself. You can't look at other people and judge yourself that way. You have to look at your situation. Someone out there, like me, I can't eat a whole pizza and probably not gain a pound, but I run all the time. I am very physically active. I walk or run several miles 5 to 6 days a week. So I know I can get away with it. But there was a time where I didn't do that. And that's how I'm speaking from experience of me thinking I did. I was always what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. But right now I'm going to make this decision. And it was stupid. It was really dumb because I was thinking only in the moment. I was being impatient. I was being a child who wanted a toy and had to have it right then and there. And if you didn't have to, and if you didn't get it, I was going to be upset. I had to have it, and I would justify it any which way I could. And looking back on it, it was a very poor, negative mindset and routine and pattern that I got myself into that I'm so happy I got myself out of. And how you do it is through self-discipline. You have to rework all those wires in your brain to get you to think on the opposite side of the spectrum. Whatever you're doing to get into that bad pattern, go completely the opposite. So instead of me having the pizza all the time, or instead of me having a soda, I got rid of soda entirely. I got rid of the mindset of I need to eat it all. I got into the mindset I'm only going to eat when I have to eat. And I'll snack when I want to snack. If I want to have a snack, I'll have it. But I know that it's only going to be few and far between, and it's not really going to hurt me. And I'm going to, instead of me sitting on the couch eating this stuff and not doing anything and drinking a case of beer, I'm going to get out and be more active. These are all things that I did in the moment. And once I started realizing if I can make these decisions in the moment and keep making them and keep making them and keep making them, no matter how hard they are, and accept the fact that it's going to be a long time before this actually pans out and I see any results from it, I knew these are positive things. Something good has to happen out of these positive changes. That's where you have to start instilling in yourself that hardcore, callous mindset that David Goggins, one of my mentors ever, talks about. You have to callous your mind to get you over those hurdles of excuses. And just recognize what it is in the moment you're doing that is wrong and negative for yourself. And you have to start with the core of who you are and not worry about what other people are going to say. Not going to a restaurant with people and feel like you have to order what they're ordering just because it looks so tasty. Not going out every weekend and going to the bars and partying just because your friends say you're lame if you don't do it. Not taking the job that your family members and your spouse or and whoever your boss wants you to take because they think it's best for you. You have to start with you. And it sounds selfish, but there's a difference between being selfish and pushing it off on other people and becoming manipulative and narcissistic versus being selfish towards the area of self-love. Self-love for yourself and starting every decision you make with yourself and pushing outward makes a lot of sense when you think about it. You don't want to start with other people to make your decisions. You want to start with yourself to make your decisions. You want to start with what the one thing that is that could make the decision, and that's your mind. You could feel with your emotions in your heart all you want, but your mind is ultimately is what makes the decision. The mind is what's going to make you stop doing something that is positive and start heading towards a negative. And why would the mind do that to you? Because your mind is programmed to make you feel you need to be as comfortable as possible in all situations. Your mind wants you to be happy. It wants you to be content, happy, and without worry. Your mind does not want to go into overdrive and stress you out and give you these headaches and anxiety. It doesn't want that for you. Your mind loves you, just in the wrong way. It's the parent that spoils the child. That's what your mind is. It's the parent that spoils the child. Your mind will try to spoil you any which way it can, and it will make you feel entitled to every excuse that pops into it. It will make you feel entitled to every single excuse you can come up with. Your mind is going to say, you're exactly right. It's going to agree with you every time you have an excuse because it's comfortable and it's going to get you out of a negative situation, you think. But what you're actually doing is you're creating more negatives than you are positives. It may feel good and positive in a moment because you're not stressed out. And anytime you don't have stress and anxiety, you're going to feel like that's a positive. The problem is that long term, it's a negative. Maybe in that moment, you're going to feel very positive because you avoided a very hard situation, a very hard decision, a very hard confrontation with someone. But long term, all you're doing is putting off the inevitable because it's not going to go away. These things do not go away. That toxic person you're in a relationship with is not going to go away unless you make a hard decision. Your diet, your weight gain is not going to go away unless you do drastic, hard decisions. Your job situation is not going to go away unless you make drastic, hard decisions that are going to feel like shit in the moment. All these things are going to make you feel like shit in the moment. But that's what you have to do. You have to face the shit. And you have to face it boldly and bravely. Hence, the brave never fall. Brave and bold. That's where that came from. You're going to face each day as brave and as bold as you possibly can. With all the tools you can create for yourself that are specialized for you, that are unique only to you. You can't pick up the tools of other people and sculpt yourself with them. You could pick up the tools and figure out what they are and how you can shape your own, but you can't pick up other people's tools and just start using them on yourself. That's unsanitary. That's a stupid joke. But there's a reason why I was telling people don't pick up other people's tools that they carve themselves with, because you might get an infection. Or you want your own tools. You want brand new tools that are created and specialized and ordered and sent directly to your doorstep. It didn't come from a warehouse overseas. It didn't come from somebody else's mind. These are things you create on your own, and you built them on your own. And maybe you needed some people to help you construct it and piece it together and get the materials together. That's where mentors come in, and leaders and family members and people you trust. If you have a church, people like that, organizations like that, the brave never fall. These are all tools. But you have to create your own set of tools for yourself. They're going to work for your unique life, your original special self. And you can't use tools that are just lying around all over the place and you just go randomly pick up these rusty old tools that other people have tried to sculpt themselves with, and there's blood and guts all over them, and you're trying to figure out, well, what happened with this one? What's the story behind this one? This is disgusting. What happened here? Why even bother? Start with yourself. Start fresh, start clean. Every moment of the day is a new moment for you to start clean. That was another thing that I realized. Upon creating momentum, one of the things you have to do is just get started. And I think getting started is the most important thing. And I get asked a lot about everything that I do when I'm trying to help someone. Like, where did you start? What was the moment that clicked in your mind that made you realize you needed to change all those things that were bad about you? And I have to remind people, there was no singular moment per se. What it was a series of events and things that happened that put me in the position to where I knew I needed to change. And I would say that is the part there is really the beginning of it, is the fact that you're aware that you need to change something. Doesn't mean you might change it immediately, but I was aware of all these flaws that I had. I was just living with them because they were comfortable. But ultimately, what's going to happen is there will come a point in time where you have to make a choice. Sometimes, most of the time, these choices happen with that big boulder I always talk about coming and hitting you in the back of the head. Something will happen that will force you to make a hard decision. You can't just excuse your way out of it. You can't procrastinate any longer. This situation is going on and you got to face it. You got to face it head on like a monster. And you're about to be in a fight. You're about to be in a battle. You're about to be in a war. And most of it is going to come with your mind, your heart, your body, and your soul. You're going to be in a battle and a war with yourself. And at that point in time, this is where people have their biggest failures, because this is when they become the weakest, when they're not looking at it at the opportunity or as an opportunity to become stronger. They will fold like a cheap tent. And what will happen is that instead of slowing down and making the right decision, because your mind has betrayed you in a way and spoiled you so much, you don't know how to handle the situation that you're in. That's the scary part. You'll know when it's time to change when you realize there are things that you want out of this world and you cannot obtain them because you're too weak, that you're too full of excuses, that you're too surrounded by toxic people, that the person you want to be is not the person you are and will never be under the set of circumstances you found yourself in, the situations you're in, the circles that you have, your work environment, your friendships, your relationships with anyone. What is your goal? What is your purpose? I tell people all the time, if you want to find out how and when you should make a change, start with yourself Start with self-love. Start working on that first, and start working on what is your purpose, or multiple purposes, because not every person on the planet just has one singular purpose. A lot of people have multiple purposes. I believe I'm one of those people. Start figuring out what things you're good at, what do you want out of life, and start working towards them. Start building yourself up as a person that has the most highest self-worth you can muster up in a single individual. Regardless if you believe it or not, you have to push that mindset into a place where it's a focal point. You have to focus on this. And I think that's the problem with most people when they fold like that cheap tent, is that they're not willing to accept the fact that whatever they're going through, it's happening for a reason, and it's happening because it's life, and it will continue to happen. And if you survive this catastrophe or this event or whatever the struggle is you're going through, there's always going to be another one that's very similar or worse. And then you're either going to be prepared for it or you're not. And I see so many people who get in these situations with other people, regardless if it's in their control or not, regardless if they're creating the chaos for themselves or not. They get in these situations over and over and over again, and they can't believe why it keeps happening. They always have an excuse. This is why, this is why, this is why. Instead of just saying, you know, this is the common denominator with all this stuff is me. Regardless if it's happening to myself because of a creation I've done for myself, meaning I created all this stuff myself, or somebody else or something else is creating all this chaos in your life, the common denominator is always going to be you. What are you doing about these situations? Are they becoming harder or easier? Because they're going to keep coming. So is life becoming easier to deal with, or is life becoming harder to deal with? If life is becoming harder through each one of these situations, that means you're losing strength every single time it happens. You're losing a piece of yourself. You're losing a piece of your mind, your heart, your soul, and your body every single time these things happen, and you fold like a cheap tent. That scares the hell out of me when it comes to myself, because I was there before, to the point where I used to be so scared of things, and I would make so many bad mistakes that I would think to myself, if you just would have stayed at home today, that would have been a giant victory. The fact that you even walked out the house was a negative, because I would just make one bad decision after another. You can only do that so many times before you realize what are all the possible outcomes of this scenario keep going on. What type of momentum is this creating? I'm creating negative momentum, and I'm doing it myself, regardless of what the outside world is giving me. There are choices to be made. And I remember making a statement to myself, I don't like who I am. I need to change who I am. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but we're going to start. And the one thing I'm going to start with is me. So everyone around me who is toxic or who is not positive, I just left them. They're just gone. They never came back. They reached out to me. I never gave them an explanation. Some of the people I have talked to about certain things, but for the most part, I chose to just start over. And there's that moment thing I'm talking about again. There will come a point where you just say, enough's enough. I'm done. I remember saying to myself, when I used to smoke, I just stopped. When I remember being at work one day, I'm like, I just don't want to drink like I used to. I used to drink a whole lot. And I realized I don't really need it. And it was just that. Now it's done. I drink when I want to drink. It's no big deal. I'm like, I want to lose weight. Boom. I just do it. And then I started realizing, what's the pattern there? The pattern there is momentum based on positivity. Once you get a taste of it, it becomes addicting. Now you're addicted to positivity. Every decision is made knowing you're going to have a positive outcome no matter what. And even if things get bad, and when they get bad, you know you're still going to have positive outcomes, because you're not going to make negative decisions in bad situations. You're going to make positive decisions in bad situations. Now you're guarding yourself. Now you have armor. The other thing I did was I stopped making excuses. And I started holding myself accountable. And that might have been one of the hardest things to do. Being assertive with other people and telling people no when I had to tell them no, letting people go again who were toxic and had no value in my life, making bold decisions, making bold goals and dreams for myself, and figuring out who I was through self-love and saying, I don't care what anyone thinks about my goals and aspirations. I believe in me, so I'm going to go for it with or without the people who doubt me. And I will pick up, like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, I will pick up people who have similar journeys and want to join me on the path. I will find these people, and they will find. It's almost like a mutual agreement. These people are going through what I'm going through. They want to find someone like me, and I want to find someone like them, and we will eventually meet each other. I'm only alone temporarily. That choice gives you power. That's empowerment. When you decide I'm making the choice for myself and it's positive. No downside to it. But you have to make it for yourself, and you have to know, even though I'm making this choice, and it sounds good to say it out loud, I'm going to have to endure these choices and the consequences of a positive choice, which to other people, this is where the negativity comes in from other people, is that it's positive to you. It's negative to everyone else, because now they want you to stay the same because it says something about them. When you don't want to be around someone anymore, or you leave a job that they thought you should be happy at, or you leave a spouse that everyone just are shocked and scratching their heads why you left them, they don't realize they haven't been living your life. They don't know your purpose. They don't know what you're capable of doing. They don't know your work ethic. They don't know that you have self-love for yourself. They see you as they want you to be, not who you are. You don't have to prove yourself to anyone but yourself. But I find it easy to prove myself to people because I do what I need to do for myself. The proof is I'm living my life. You live yours. When our lives intersect, I will treat you with respect as long as you treat me with respect. If you're toxic, I won't even address you. When you need help, I will help you. And I usually start it with that. And if a relationship blooms out of that, then it does. If it doesn't, oh well. Because I have something I'm working towards. I don't have time to worry about what other people have to say about me negatively. I don't have time to waste time doing things that's negative in negative places with negative people. If every decision you make is built upon positivity and the foundation is self-love, self-worth you have for yourself, you're going to find through time, because this takes time to get to this mindset. It took me years to get here. But the commitment to it is worth it. When you get there, it's an empowerment, freeing thing that is unexplainable. You will know it when it happens. And it would change your life forever. Because you'll realize you're free, but you feel more connected to the world than ever, because now you're not afraid. Yeah, you're still going to have bad days just like everyone else. You're not a machine. But you're going to feel like a machine sometimes, because you're going to feel like you're in control of everything, and you can adapt and adjust to everything, and you can get smarter by upgrading your knowledge, and your body can be the best it can ever be because now you're eating healthy, and when you have self-love, everything starts to just pull into yourself. And you will feel almost, it's just like a star. It's just a big ball of gas. It's coalesced into a dense mass of solar radiation, and that's what it feels like. It feels like your body is just collapsed right into where all the good feelings are, right where the heart is. And you can feel it in there. You know your decisions are right. And you know that life has the potential to be great at that moment. And then now you have direction. It's going to take a while to get there, but now you have a vision of who you can be, and you start working towards that. And that's an awesome feeling, and that's what having forward momentum is all about. And as we head into intermission, remember, everything and everyone in this world is connected. You ever see a snowball effect with somebody who is completely out of control, and you could see these people destroying themselves? They get on this roller coaster ride of bad decision making, and it just keeps snowballing. And you look at these people and you can clearly say, I wouldn't make that decision. I wouldn't make that decision. I definitely wouldn't have made that decision. And you ask yourself, why is this person just self-destroying themselves? They are like literally walking onto the Enterprise bridge in Star Trek saying, hello, Captain, walking right over to the self-destruct button and pressing it. And just because they don't only take down themselves, they take down other people along the way. And I used to find this fascinating because I used to always, even though I would make bad decisions for myself, one of the things I always had as a template for how stupid I was that at least if I make these bad decisions, I'm not going to hurt anyone else. I'm going to limit my bad decision making to myself. Now, at least I had enough common sense to do that, because there are some people, like I just mentioned, who once they get into this train wreck of a lifestyle and routine and no self-discipline, no self-love, they want to bring and drag everyone else down with them. These are the living embodiment and testament and definition of a toxic individual, because these people can't live in their own misery alone. They need somebody to join them in hell. So they're going to try to do whatever they can to pull someone else down with them. They're going to do whatever they can to become a wall to stop your momentum of positivity, especially if they think you have the opportunity to be in their lives long term and they don't want to see you succeed, even on a minor level. Success for everyone doesn't always mean money or the best job or the best spouse or the best house or the best car. A lot of times success can be defined as, what is your outlook on life, and are you just happy all the time? Have you ever seen somebody who just, you don't know them that well, but they're just, you can just tell they're living life and they're happy and they're comfortable. And you're like, and then you look at them get in their car, they don't have the best car. They live in a modest apartment. They make, $25,000 to $35,000 a year. They're just your average human being, but they just look so content and happy. And you see them and they go out, they get on their bike, they go for a bike ride. They come in with the 2 grocery bags. They have the little dog or a cat, and then they're fine. And you wonder, is this person content with their life, or what are they doing? And I always thought that was funny, because I basically just described myself. Because I get this from people all the time. Like, you don't have anything in life, really. You're working towards these goals. You haven't made it. This goes back to the thing. Who do you think you are, walking around with your shoulders back and your head up, and you haven't made it yet? You have a $12,000 car, and you have, you don't even own your own home. And it just goes to the point, and I think to myself, when these people ask me this, I'm like, who do you think I am? What would you like me to be? You tell me, since it's so easy, tell me where I should be at in the next 20 years. So because you're basically telling me my life is a failure right now, even though I'm happy and content. What these people are failing to realize is that the reason why you're smiling and you're happy and you're content is because you're not making bad decisions every day. You're on a long-term goal of life. There's momentum coming that's going to carry on through years. Force of momentum is not always just this burst of brute force that just happens in a momentary cyclone and then just fades away into existence. It can be a very long roll, slow roll downhill, or a big hard push uphill of momentum that gets you to where you want to be, that gets you through all the struggles of life. And as long as you just keep pushing, you're happy, because the momentum has not stopped. You have not stopped. You have not moved backwards. You're just still going forward. As long as you're going forward, that's momentum. You have to constantly be thinking about pushing yourself forward with momentum. I tell people this all the time. You just don't want to stand still. And you definitely do not want to go backwards. You want to be pushing yourself with forward momentum. As hard as you can, but not in a hurry. What we want here is strength. You want inner strength. You don't want your muscles to get weak. It's like the astronauts. They go up in outer space. They lose muscle mass, so they have to constantly be on the treadmill, keeping the blood going, keeping the muscles working, or they'll lose the ability to use them. Think of your body that way. If you don't learn something new as often as you can, at least once a day. That I try to at least learn something new every single day, because my mind is a muscle as well. My body, I work out every single day. If I don't work out, then I'm stretching. Working out does not mean you go to the gym for an hour. Working out could be for 10 minutes. That's still a workout. If you can't work out, stretch for 10 minutes. Believe it or not, that's a workout. It's called isometrics. No difference. So I want my body to be in tune. My heart, I want to feel something every day. What's the easiest way to feel something? I always tell people this. Help someone. Do something for someone that they weren't expecting you to do and you don't even have to do. Give someone a compliment. Do something nice for someone. Now you felt that. And then also on the opposite end of the spectrum, do something that's severely uncomfortable for you that day. I shouldn't say severely, but I say severely for myself because I'm a freak and that's what I do. But do something uncomfortable. Go for a half a mile walk if you don't walk at all. Eat half of the meal that you were planning on eating that day. It's going to be a little uncomfortable, but just try it. And then just those two things alone, you've had complete joy that you created for yourself, and you've had a little bit of misery that you created from yourself, but they both were positive. There's nothing wrong with eating half your plate of food or going for a half a mile walk. And there's nothing wrong with helping somebody that even sometimes who don't even deserve your damn help, but you did it anyway. Or giving someone a compliment. Now you've experienced a range of human emotion. You've learned something new. I would say if you want to learn something new, download an app, a word of the day app. I have that on my phone. It's a word of the day. Every day you get a new word that you learn. And there's someone special out there. She's a little butterfly. I learned a new word, "usent." Look that one up and try to put that one in a sentence. I told you I worked that one in here, didn't I? But what's crazy about that is that it also connects to your soul. Because if you can do something with the mind, the heart, you're getting yourself some emotion that you create for yourself. And again, these are things you're creating for yourself. Because we're going to have to deal with all those things out there that are going to be external. They're going to create scenarios for us ourselves, or outside of ourselves, that we're going to have to react to and respond to. So do yourself a favor and create some things on your own to fill in those gaps. And then you're going to have a much more balanced out day. You want to feel like you're in control of your day. And you want to create the momentum yourself. So all those outside external things that are happening to you, let them happen because you have no control over them. So don't focus on them so much. You want to prepare yourself so when those things happen, you're reacting to them and you know that they're under control. So you don't have to worry about those external things so much. You'll deal with them when they come. Your focal point is yourself. So you want to create some of these things on a microcosm yourself so you're ready to deal with them when they're not a microcosm, when they're huge and these problems are going to come. So how you do that is you're trying to become the best version of yourself while you're walking on your path, reaching your goal with purpose. It's all connected in some kind of a flow. And I think the mindset behind pushing yourself through momentum is that you just want to create something that will make you keep going when these hard things that happen in life come at you and they try to stop your momentum. It's going to try to halt you. It's going to make you stop, and it's going to make you reflect, and it's going to make you apprehensive. It's going to make you want to take some steps back. You don't want to do that. You want to keep going forward with the force and the momentum that you've created for yourself through these things that are going to externally try to stop you. And how you do that is belief in yourself. Belief is one of those things that goes with self-love, but believing and knowing that you're going to get through anything that happens to you in life will sustain that forward momentum. Now, you may lose some momentum. You may slow down at times, and there's nothing wrong with that because you're going to be going uphill a lot of times. You're going to be going uphill more often than not. And that's the unfortunate truth about life, is that most of life is an uphill battle. So you're gonna lose some steam. There's gonna be some times where you're gonna say, I just don't know if I can do this. It's okay to doubt yourself. It's okay to doubt yourself, but the belief you have in yourself, even when those doubts come, the belief is gonna take care of that doubt. The doubt is always going to be there because, again, your mind is the doubter. It's the creation of that doubt. It's going to want to make you stop and slow down and say, what the hell are you doing? Will you drop this momentum thing and just take a rest, take a break? You can take a break by still moving forward. Now, a perfect example of that is when I go into a marathon race, my goal is not to walk at all. And I tell people this all the time who ask me that, or ask me, do you walk in your marathons? And I tell them, I come very close to walking, but I don't walk. And they say, what do you mean? I said, I just slowed down a lot. I changed my running pattern and I just slowed down. I get my breathing under control. And because I've trained hard enough and I prepared myself enough, I'm running at a slow jog. I'm jogging at a very slow, low heart rate, but I'm not walking. That's my equivalent of walking. My equivalent of walking in these races is a very slow jog at a very low heart rate. Get my breathing under control. Once I'm there, I pick up my pace again. But I don't walk. I don't lose momentum. Now, life will occasionally make you walk, and there's nothing wrong with that because I'm still moving forward. What life is not going to make me do is stop running or walking forward in that race. That is not an option. I'm not going to stop. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to turn around. I'm going to always be going forward because my goal is to finish that damn race. And I will not stop until I do it. And I want to do it as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Because when I finish the race, the first thing that's going to pop in my mind is, you could have went a little harder than that. I don't want that thought going through my mind. When I get done with my race, I love the feeling of knowing I gave it everything that I had for that race. And if I chose to slow down, that was a choice that I made. But I was never forced by some outside, regardless of what the weather is, how many runners there is, how I'm feeling, if I'm tired. I'm in control here. It's my momentum. I may be halted, I may be slowed down, but I'm not going to stop. All these people out here in this world, some of the people that doubt you, what's great about life is when you start meeting people who believe in you more than you believe in yourself sometimes. And that's often all that you need. And even if these people don't even know you, you can look up to someone and you can say, these people don't care. They're just doing what they got to do. And they're doing extraordinary things. And how did they get there? What's the mindset? And the mindset is they're focused. They've rid themselves of as many excuses as possible. They've rid themselves of as many toxic people as possible. They don't put themselves in negative places and situations. They don't worry about stuff that they don't have to worry about. They don't get things and stuff and gather things around them that is useless. Everything in their life has a purpose. Everything adds up to forward momentum in that goal, their purpose. Yes, they have their fun. Yes, they have their flaws. But more often than not, these people, these exceptional, unique, special people, which we all are, but there are people who just take it to another level. And if these people exist, that means you're capable as well of being what these people are, if not better or more. There is no limit to who you can be, and you will never know it until you explore it. How do you know how far you can go if you haven't pushed yourself? Which again is why you create these moments for yourself. How do you know how smart you could possibly be if you don't ever learn anything new? How do you know what type of body you could possibly have if you don't push yourself to explore that possibility? How do you know the full range of human emotion on a daily basis, the strength that comes behind it when you're not folding like a cheap tent because you let your emotions rip you apart because you weren't tested at the right points of your life and you folded and you decided, I can't do this, I'm going to be weak, which is nothing wrong with that, but you didn't learn your lesson. You kept doing it over and over and over again. You created negative momentum. You're going backwards or you're not going anywhere at all. The scariest thing about life is when you don't go anywhere at all. I would say to people, I'd rather go backwards than go nowhere at all. Because at least if I go backwards, I have an opportunity to stop and move back forwards. But some people are just stuck in place. That is a very horrifying, scary thing to be. Because where you're going with that is absolutely nowhere. It's the living definition of going nowhere. There are people who are in a place they're not content with. There are people out there who are in a place where, again, this is a perspective thing. When you're looking on outside into certain people who look like they may not be going somewhere in life. They look like they've hit their wall. They look like they've hit their ceiling. They're just, this is their lifestyle. This is who they're going to be for the rest of their life. Maybe it is. For them, that's still forward momentum because that's what they want. They're maintaining and moving forward with the lifestyle they have chosen for themselves. So people who want to retire in 50 years from a particular 50 years, whatever, how many years that they have left, these people have chosen this. So their forward momentum is positive because they are choosing this lifestyle. They are content with it. There's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody has to have aspirations of being the richest person in the world, the best athlete, the most beautiful person. We need the people in the world who are just, hey, I love my house, my modest job, my car. I don't need anything more than that. This is what I love to do. I love my pizza and chips. I love my soda. I love to watch my games. That's perfectly fine. I think that's great for those people because they're not complaining about it. They're content with where they are. They're comfortable and they're building upon that version of themselves. That's what they wanted to be and that's what they want. The people we're talking about are the people who are complaining about their life. The people who are looking at other people and judging them and wanting to be more in life, but don't have a damn clue how to get there. And they're blaming everyone else and dragging everyone else down the hell with them because life is kicking their ass and they have no idea what to do about it. Those are the people we're talking about. The people who continuously put themselves in negative situations, don't know how to respond to the external situations that happen that are negative, and they're responding to negative situations and negative people with their own negativity, their own lack of vision for themselves, their own lack of self-love for themselves. They have no foundation. They're stuck. They're going absolutely nowhere, and they're watching people walk right past them. Some people are going the opposite direction. They're going backwards, but at least something's going on. And these people aren't learning anything from the people who are going backwards or the people who are going forwards. These people are stuck. It's a horrible existence when you get to that place because the answers are there. You're choosing not to look at them. And the answer is a mirror. These people are refusing to look themselves in the mirror, examine what's there, internally and externally, and starting to commit to fixing the problems. They want someone else to fix them for them. They don't want to do the deep soul-searching task of figuring out who you are. They don't want to be pushed to the limits externally with some kind of a purpose that's going to take a long time, a lot of heart and determination to get through. These people want the fast track to the easy life. These people want the mindset of contentment. They want all the love and admiration in the world, but they have no idea how to earn that from anyone. They want a positive life based on negative choices and reactions. These people have given up on themselves without even realizing it. These people believe they have forward momentum, and they're going nowhere because the choices they make are canceling each other out time after time after time after time because they're continuing to make the same choices over and over and over again. They have not changed anything in their lives. In order to change, there has to be a change. You can't look in that mirror after you said, I'm going to change, and 2 years later, you look in that mirror and you're still the same person. Something had to have changed in that point in time in order to change. You have to pick something. We can't change everything all at once. I started with my weight because I felt, I used to be a certain way And I knew that my body, I needed to be physical. I have an athletic build. I knew the key to my mind is overcoming the challenge of getting to a place where I view myself visually. And that would give me confidence, and that would give me a reason to know that I can continue doing other things that I know I can overcome that I didn't even see. So I decided, I'm going to pick this thing. I picked personal training. I want to be a personal trainer. I'm going to help people. I want to help people. And I also want to get myself back into shape. I wasn't severely out of shape, but I wasn't in the shape that I wanted to be for myself. And I dedicated myself to that for about a year and a half, almost 2 years. That was a focal point. Once I accomplished that, then I started working on my mind. I want to get smarter. I want to learn everything I can about the human mind, the heart, the body, the soul. I want to learn about all the religions. I want to learn more about history. I want to learn about all the professions that are out there. I want to learn words I hadn't even thought about, cultures I hadn't thought about. I want to learn about all the, about psychology and sociology, all these things. And then I started working on my soul. I want to find some kind of way where I can figure out my purpose. That's how I found Tao. And right now, I'm working on tying it all together. I've never had a problem working on my emotions. They were always there. How I worked on that was getting my mind right. Once I started getting my mind right, the heart took care of itself. That was my blueprint. Everybody else has a different blueprint on how they're going to get to a place of self-love. That was my journey of how I got here. And it took a long time. It took about 5 years. So you have to, and by the way, 2 of those years came from me being aware that I wanted to do it and not doing anything about it. Once I committed to it, it was about 3 years before I got to this point. And now I'm at a point where and now I'm just building on it. I'm not done. I'm not anywhere near done. I'm just getting started. I want to explore this positive momentum that I've created for myself. But like I said, for about a couple of years, I knew all these things that were wrong. And I sat there and did absolutely nothing about it. In fact, I made the things worse. Because every time you have that thought in your head that you want to be something different, you're not doing anything about it, that's always going to create a point of conflict in your mind and your heart and your body and your soul. Because you're disappointing yourself every single day. You're going to be frustrated with yourself that you're not doing more. Every time you do something negative, it's going to bite you right in your ass because you're already aware that you're not doing the right thing and you're doing it anyway. After a while, you're going to break. And then the real decisions will have to be made. And that's when that momentum is going to start. If I could give you any advice, if you listen to this and you have no idea where you're going to start with all this, start with a self-analysis of yourself and be brutally honest with who you are in this present moment in time. Be brutally honest about every flaw, everything that you don't like about yourself. And if you don't like them, fix them. Find a way to fix them. And take time limits off of it. Stop with the artificial goals of I'm gonna lose this amount of weight in this amount of time, because most of the time it doesn't quite work like that. Just get started. You're gonna shatter that goal that you made. That goal is actually preventing you from actually getting the work done. Because a lot of times, if you put that there, now you have a built-in excuse. Well, I can go ahead and eat this pizza because I said I was gonna finish this diet in July, and it's kind of like April and I kind of lost 20 pounds already. I know I got 50 more to go, but no, don't do that to yourself. Just get started and be consistent, and you will shatter that goal because you don't want some kind of a deadline. There is no deadline. It's a sustained, momentous event that you're having in your life. A life-changing event is is exactly what's occurring in your life right now. When you choose to change your life, that is a life-changing event for yourself. There is no deadline. There is no finish line. It never stops. You can't quit once you get, if you want to lose 100 pounds, you can't quit after 100 pounds and go back to doing what you were doing before just because you hit it. That's not how the human body works. That's a lifelong commitment. It's self-discipline. It's self-love. You're making a commitment with yourself that I'm never going to do these things that got me to this place where I didn't like these certain aspects of myself in the first place. You're never going to return there again in your life. You have to get it in your subconscious that this is a lifelong journey. And the only way to get through it is that you have to keep pushing forward with that momentum that you created for yourself. The momentum that you've created in your mind, whatever challenges you've had and you're working on, you have to keep working on them. If you're an emotional person and you don't know how to manage your emotions, and you don't know how to have deep relationships with other people without getting to a point where you're causing yourself anxiety and you're depressed and you're being selfish, you're narcissistic, these are things you're going to work on for the rest of your life. If you find religion in any type of way, if you're a spiritual person, you just don't stop once you find the religion. You're going to explore this religion. It's a part of you. But you have to make the commitment to give yourself the opportunity to have any momentum, positive or negative at all. So, I mean, people who are standing still, these people aren't making decisions. They're just lost. The world is creating every decision these people are making. And they try to counter it with bad decision making based on inexperience on what a positive outcome could possibly be, because they've never experienced a positive outcome. That's scary. When you see people who are out here making horrible decisions and then they claim that's a positive outcome, it's sad. When you see people who are joyous about failing, but they have no idea that they're failing. They believe that they're winning in life. That's their choice. You're different. You have the opportunity to work on yourself in a way where you know you are going to be the best person you can possibly be for yourself. Take it upon yourself to have the strength to move forward. And if you're going to make these decisions, make them and stick with them. There is no going back. That is the greatest failure. You will fail every time if you make a commitment that you're not self-disciplined about, because you are not going to make it. You have to commit, and it has to be a focal point, and you have to be damn near insane about it. That's the only way that this works. The Brave Never Fall is about exceptional people who are pushing past the point of, I am done being average of who I am, an average version of who I am. I am ready to elevate who I am to where I need to be. And it takes damn near insanity to do that with self-discipline, self-love. You have to love yourself harder than anything you've ever loved in your entire life to make these things happen and be sustained over a lifetime. Because this is not a one-trick pony. There are multiple things that are going to happen, and you have to be prepared for them. And you're going to find, once you start doing these things, life is so much better. It's so much more joyous. You feel so much stronger, more confident. And when all these inevitable things happen in life that are negative, you know, through your positivity and your forward momentum you've created for yourself through self-discipline and self-love, you're prepared for anything. And if no one has told you this today, I love you. You deserve to hear that. Salute to you all. The brave never fall.